Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Grandmaster Chess. What the hell? Okay, apparently I just got a pop-up for reaching 1800, I think. But I was about to say, welcome back to the Grandmaster Chess speedrun, where we are playing all the way up to 2000 ELO and beyond with the goal of beating a chess Grandmaster. I was going to play Knight F6 because that's what I normally play, but we're trying to play principled chess, playing in the center, and that involves playing pawn to d5 against pawn to d4. So White has a number of responses here. They can play for a Queen's Gambit. And what I would actually recommend against the Queen's Gambit is the Queen's Gambit Accepted. And it's actually quite rare. Not many players see it, so I think it's quite a nice weapon to get your opponents off guard. To be honest, I don't have a whole lot of preparation in Queen's Gambit Accepted positions either, so at least we're going to be on the same page. And the way I think you're meant to play against it is generally with something like pawn to e5. Pawn to e5, the idea is that we're striking back against this white pawn in the center. We can exchange the queens and then hang on to this c4 pawn with bishop to e6 and then try and regain this pawn on e5. So let's exchange the queens and we're going to play an endgame, which is always interesting to see how these ones go. I'm thinking we can play knight c6. Of course, they might play knight to b5 to try and attack us on c7, which is a weakness. So alternatively, we could play bishop to e6, and on knight b5, we can play knight a6, and then castle long c6, knight c7, and stuff like that. I think that looks more appealing. Let's play bishop to e6. And then if they don't play knight b5, then we can play knight c6, and on knight b5, we can castle with a check. So that's kind of what I'm thinking at the moment. A little move order thing there, but really it's just being aware of your opponent's potential threats. Okay, they're looking to fianchetto their bishop. Let's play the knight out, attacking the pawn in the center. If they fianchetto, we can castle, which protects this pawn over here, and then capture over here. So we see f4, protecting the pawn like this. I think we should just castle here with a check, getting nice and developed. And, I mean, the king has to move. If they want to play bishop out, it looks a little bit dodgy. I don't know why you would self-pin. We would probably follow up with bishop c5, go for bishop e3, something like this. Also, just getting this knight developed looks good. Another thing to consider is pawn f6 as well. That doesn't seem so bad. So yeah, all of these ideas seem pretty good. Okay, now I'm starting to think pawn f6 looks quite nice. And I'm seeing an idea here, which is that after takes, knight takes, if they play e4, we can go bishop to b4. And the idea here is that we want to eliminate the knight, get the pawn to capture, and then we can attack the e4 pawn, which isn't there yet, but is quite likely. Could also consider bishop to b4 right away, something like this. But I don't think it's so good. I was looking at this diagonal here, but they can always play knight to f3, so it's not super impressive. I think we need to play f6 here and try and break up white's strong advanced e-pawn. That makes the most sense to me. And while we're at it, we get a nice bit of development with the knight coming out to f6 as well. So black should hold a little bit of an advantage here. We have the rook on the d file, and I definitely like our position. Okay, we should probably capture that one, and it looks like we're just collecting a pawn in the center, so that looks rather nice to me. Let's take this one. So we're a pawn up position now. Okay, they've brought out the knight going in for f7. Yeah, it's a little bit annoying. We might have to play knight to h6. It's not so bad. Follow up with bishop to e7. Yeah, I think this seems very reasonable still. If they go knight e6, then we can just move out of the way, attack the knight, or go like up there, I guess. So yeah, knight h6, we should protect that square. We're still a pawn up, and they have to do something about this, which would allow our knight to capture it. We can then attack the knight with the bishop, rather than with the pawn. And, I mean, pawn up, can't complain too much. Endgame, their king's still in the center. Generally, king safety is not so bad when the queens are off the board, but given we still have both rooks and a bunch of minor pieces, the king can still run into fire in the middle. So that's why they're getting it out of there, which makes a ton of sense. We could play knight c7. We can attack the knight. I think we should just attack the knight probably. But do we necessarily want... Oh, we can attack the knight here and then threaten to capture the bishop with a check. I guess that seems pretty good. Knight e6 is worth taking a look at, because they attack the pawn and the rook. Can we trap them? Not really. So actually, maybe we should go for knight to f7. Yeah. I think we should play knight f7 here. Attacking their knight like this, protected by the other knight, just so that we can sort of remove this strong piece. Yeah, they're going in for e6, pressuring the bishop, pressuring the pawn. But in this situation, I think we can just play rook to d6, attacking the knight again. Or maybe just rook to e8, actually. Because rook d6 can get a little bit choppy here. It blunts the bishop potentially and might run into future knight attacks. So generally the rooks are safer. They're safer on the back rank. So if they want to do this trade, this should be good for us. And we'll be able to improve our other knight as well. Still maintaining the pawn. As long as we can keep this guy, we should be good. And we can look to try and win this e-pawn as well. And then eventually convert the 4 pawns on 2-pawn advantage. So they decide to retreat the knight, which is definitely fair enough. G5, bishop g7 is a way to try and get the bishop developed quickly, but I think we create a weak pawn for no reason. So I'm not a huge fan of that one. Instead, I think we should probably just continue with bishop c5 or bishop to b4. If we play bishop to b4, we have to decide what we're doing on a3. But a3 does just weaken their position a lot and allow our pawn to control this b3 square a lot more. So I think bishop to b5 seems pretty good. Although they also can play this. But I think the exchanges should favor us. Favor us a little bit. Do we want to take it? I'm not so sure. Maybe we can go back now, because we've provoked this pawn. Yeah, I think we should go back to c5. Maybe. Let's consider the capture. They take with the bishop. And let's say I go knight d6. And I'm headed for e4. Both of these options seem okay. Yeah, I'm quite happy with either bishop c5 or bishop takes on c3. Let's play bishop c5 for now, because I think their knights might start tripping over each other. And the bishop's poorly placed, so we don't need to improve the bishop too soon. Eventually, a nice pawn structure would involve something like c6, b5, a6. The problem is that might allow white to try and break out their rook with a4. But I think c6 makes a lot of sense right now. It stops both of the knights from occupying this square. So let's play c6. If they want to try and bring their knight around here... Ooh, knight h5 is a bit annoying, actually, now that I look at it. Because here they go knight in. I still think we should play c6 for now. We can always protect the pawn with the rook. Yeah, because if we play g6, then they can just move the other knight into the d5, and then they're getting in anyway, except they're going via the center. Yeah, this isn't... It's never easy to win up a pawn, especially when it's just like this doubled pawn. But the main thing is that you have to be patient. You just have to improve your position. and only make exchanges when they're good for you. And little by little, you'll start to make progress, and just wait for the opponent to blunder as well. That's another important thing. So the only real moves that I'm looking at here, knight e4. We can just play bishop e7, probably. Like this. We could also play the bishop here, but I'm not too much of a fan of that. Then they're going bishop c3. It's a bit annoying. It's a little bit annoying. Okay, let's calculate. Here, knight d6. They also have knight e6. It's kind of getting messy. If I take the knight here, they take this. This is not great. I'm starting to get low on time as well. I think I'm leaning towards this bishop move, because I want to provoke e3, then retreat the bishop back to b6, and on bishop to c3, I want to play bishop c7. That way, we're not blocking up this side, and luckily this knight here is protecting this d6 fork. Okay, I think this exchange is very good for us. I'm very happy to see that exchange, and I'm definitely feeling more confident about the position now. Could play something like this, putting pressure on the knight in the center, and also attacking this pawn over here. The king can't take it because there's this fork, and also the knight is hanging. Only real problem is we have 1 minute to 5, so we're basically playing a bullet game. Wasted a little bit of time, probably overthought some moves there. Normally you shouldn't do that. Okay, I think b5 makes a lot of sense. But then he goes a4. Let's protect it with the knight for now, because you can't take it, because there's a fork at the end of the line. Oh, they blundered. They blundered the fork. Okay, let's bring the knight in. Now we're on conversion stations. Just trying to safeguard the knights. Something like this. Try and exchange it. Let's bring the king up. They're going to try and flag me, but we got more than enough time to win this position. Just have to change the rooks. Bring this one here, and that would force a rook trade because their rook has nowhere to run. So that would be definitely what I'm thinking. If they go up, they drop this pawn, so that wouldn't be very good. Okay, let's bring this in. This knight also guards the pawn and this square, so we don't have to worry about that. So let's bring the rook in, start pressuring over here. And we can also start attacking these weak pawns as well. Okay, let's play b6 for now, and then maybe knight c4. We can go knight e3 as well. I mean, rook e3. And, okay, check. Now the king's being pried away. Check like this. And we can move up the king as well, like this. Protect the pawn. I'm assuming they're going to play rook b5, where we can check. Okay, probably we should just take this over here. Oh no, I just blundered the... Jeez, that's really bad. I just blundered blundered the rook. I should have checked. Okay, we're threatening this fork, but that's not good. I think I'm going to lose now. Ah, okay. I mean, yeah, I got way too long time that game. It should have been fine, as long as I didn't blunder the rook, but unfortunately, it is what it is. It is what it is. Yeah, I mean, what to say? We're up a full rook. I mean, full knight. Just this check. I guess move the knight back, something like this. It's a little bit disappointing, but managed to salvage that one. I guess they missed the trick at the end, where I could exchange the rooks. If we had like another 2 or 3 seconds, maybe we could have got it done, but wasn't to be. Yeah. Okay, let's take a look at the analysis. I'm sure there's some interesting stuff to be had there, so definitely still worthwhile taking a look. Okay, so we played that one, 85 accuracy. They played 77.9. We got a nice advantage early on. I mean, of course, we were just up a piece. And then the big blunder, we gave up a rook. And that is not ideal, obviously. So let's see how this one went. We played e5, gave up this pawn, and entered this nice endgame where we just had a pretty clean advantage. Yeah, +1 position. F6 was good, breaking out. We won this pawn, and I mean, from there on out, black is just considerably better. Knight f7, not that strong apparently. Should have brought this knight into the center and then played h6. Yeah, okay, this made a lot more sense than what I did. But knight e6 wasn't so good. I mean, what else were they really meant to play, though? Just take it, bring a rook in? I guess. Fair enough. Yeah, slightly better. And c6 was way too slow, apparently. Should have gone here. But then knight d5 and knight g4. Attacks this pawn, attacks that pawn. Okay, wow. So, yeah, basically, white couldn't really move their pieces forward. because it would destabilize their position too much. And c6, I guess, is an unnecessary weakness. Knight h5 was the move. And on g6 here, rook e6, they just move it back. And this is an improvement, I guess. Fair enough. And here, after the trade and knight g4, we're just clearly doing much, much better. They blundered this piece, and we're just up a knight, basically. And it should have been smooth sailing. Should have been smooth sailing. Other than this knight a3 move, which is terrible. I mean, the instinct says that you should go here first, and this is pretty obvious. You can then capture this pawn if you want. And then you're just up a piece. And you got these 2 pawns on the outside. I mean, alternatively, I was trying to find something better. Guess knight e5 here. Ah, knight f3. That's nice. Yeah. And then you win this rook. But we lost a full piece and had 17 seconds, which is not good. So, yeah, I was basically just playing on instinct here. Luckily, so we could grab this pawn and also grab that one. There were a couple tricks here because the king's boxed in, right? Needed to protect the pawn. They blundered this fork with us having 3 seconds left. Okay, to be fair, I shouldn't really be expecting to win this with 3 seconds. And we got lucky that that they took this pawn, because otherwise I would have lost. If they didn't take the pawn, I would have just lost, because I can't force off the rook trade, right? So we end up with this position, and couldn't checkmate them with 0.2 seconds. If this was lead chess, you'd have been in trouble. Probably not. I don't think I can pre-move the whole thing. But yeah, I guess an interesting game for sure. Should have really been a lot easier than it was in that last bit. I mean, yeah, this is obviously a terrible blunder. But whatever. We should have played rook e4. That's pretty much, you can boil the whole game down to that. Sometimes you can literally just boil a game down to one blunder. But it happens, and luckily we could salvage the draw from that one. Keep on moving for the road to 2000 and beyond, and I'll see you back in the next video. Bye.